Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Town and Community Committee on Tuesday, the 21st of May 2024. This meeting has been recorded and will be uploaded to the Biddulph Town Council YouTube page. The aim is that decision-making should be transparent and in the public domain, which will involve more of our community and local democracy. By being in this council chamber, you are consenting to being recorded and for your image to be added to YouTube. The images and sound may be used for training purposes. Any views expressed are the speaker's own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Biddulph Town Council. Please view the guidance on recording and public meetings policy if you need more information. Thank you. So moving on to the agenda. First of all, election of a chair. Do you have nominations? Councillor Jackson?
Yeah, could I nominate Councillor Charlie Smith for the position of chair for the next 12 months, please?
Do we have a seconder?
I'd like to second that position, please.
Councillor Rogers, thank you very much. Are there any further nominations? Could I have a show of hands for Councillor Smith? It's carried unanimously, thank you. Councillor Smith, would you like to take over the meeting?
Thank you very much. So the second part of number 91 is to elect a deputy chair. Do we have any nominations for deputy chair?
I nominate Councillor Jim Garvey, please.
Seconder for Councillor Garvey.
I'll second.
Councillor Jackson seconded that. We have any other nominations? No. Can we have a show of hands to elect Councillor Garvey as deputy chair? It's unanimous. Thank you. So the next item is apologies. Have we received any apologies for today's meetings?
I would love.
Do we have any declarations of interest, either disclosable pecuniary interest or other interest? Councillor Stoll.
It's a pecuniary interest in that I work from Stafford University and again to listen to the Biddulph Works Together recommendations. So I'll leave the room again at that point.
Thank you. Is that the only interest that we've got for that one? So to look at the minutes, they've already been through Town Council. So just need to sign the minutes of the Town and Community meeting held on Tuesday, the 16th of April. All in favour? And then I will go through the next one as we are receiving the notes from the Biddulph Works Together meeting held on Wednesday, the 1st of May. So the notes from the Biddulph Works Together meeting Wednesday, the 1st of May, present, declarations of interest, apologies, received the notes of the meeting held on the 20th of March, feedback on the food and warm space options during 23-24, quite a big chunk on that one, future actions, and then deciding the date of the next meeting. Everyone who was present, happy that that's a accurate reflection of the minutes.
Yeah, I chaired that meeting.
A seconder that was at the meeting. Thank you.
Any councillor would there?
I think it's make that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, you can't do that.
I'll second my proposal.
Well, I'll second Councillor Jackson's proposal. I don't know if you actually need to be there to second it. You have to be there to have proposed it, though. But that point of order on that one?
Well, you're just receiving them anyway.
Yeah.
So if you're happy to receive them, then we can second that. Be approved at the meeting.
All happy to receive them? Yes. Our hands.
You're not commenting on the accuracy.
No, just receiving.
So Number 95, to approve the draft older people study documents and to confirm next steps. And I'll defer to Sarah on this.
Thanks very much. So by way of a reminder on this, we received some shared prosperity funding for a project where we sought the views of people over 50 within our community. The aim of that, well, we initially started calling it our older people's work. We soon stopped doing that for obvious reasons, and essentially focused on anybody who was over 50 and upwards to think about what provision they currently need, what services they currently need, and what their intentions and fears and thoughts are for the future. So I've sent you round the draft report by email, and I just thought if you were all right with that, I'd just pick out a couple of points from that. So in terms of what the report, the structure of the report, I've given a brief overview as regards the reason we wanted to do this piece of work. So this kind of took place face to face with people before Christmas, just after Christmas, and then we've been processing the results of that since then. I've included some information about our methodology, a section about local context, so that anyone reading it who's not familiar with Biddulph will understand the type of town we are and potentially the issues that we have. Bit of information about what the town council does, and then some data from the 2021 census. So I've drilled down a little bit into that to find that information. Section on who spoke to us. So we reckoned that the number of people that spoke to us was around 600 people within households across Biddulph, which, whilst not massive numbers, the quality of the information we had from those people was really important and helped us to come up with some fairly robust conclusions as regards that. So I've got some data about who the people in Biddulph are. You'll see on page 9 of that report that we mapped the location of the responses. Actually, that's pretty good for us. So the one red dot on that is represents the postcode, not the number of times it was used, but just the once when it was used. So you can see that we've got representatives from all the wards of Biddulph there who were included within the consultation, which we were pleased with. That's what we aimed for. So in terms of what the rest of the structure of the report is, we've got sections on transport and health and how people feel about their community. And you'll see from that that there are a series of recommendations. So very much in the similar way to the way that we've looked at the Biddulph Works Together project, there are a number of priorities that we've identified for people within the town. So in the first section, for example, on transport, we've added 5 recommendations there. I'm happy to go into more detail if anybody wants me to, but I don't know how much detail you need on that. So obviously take the time to read the document and to see whether you feel like the recommendations are appropriate for us, for this committee to oversee. We obviously, I'll go back to what I said at the start, we had some UK shared prosperity funding for this project. So we've put in all our receipts for that. So we've had our money back for the work that we've done. And obviously that paid for 80% of the works and the costs that were associated with that. There is some funding left from our allocation there. So we initially put in and said that we would pay for a consultant to do some of the statistical information around housing need. And the UK Shared Prosperity team didn't want us to do a piece of work on housing need, a detailed piece of work on housing need. They felt that was the responsibility of either the district or the county council, but it shouldn't fall to us to do. So we carried on doing the piece of work without that consultation report, which means that we have got some funds left. So when I've gone back and claimed the money that's been spent so far, I have somewhat cheekily also said, can we carry on with a bit of this work and use the funds that we've got left? And they've come back and said, in principle, yes, that's okay. So we haven't done a launch of this event. We haven't kind of broadcast the results that we found. But we have got some funding remaining from that allocation if that's something that you want to consider.
So I've got several people that want to talk on this. I've got Councillor Salt, Councillor Jackson, Councillor Garvey.
I'd just like to congratulate officers because it's an exceptional piece of work. That's the first thing I want to say. So thanks very much. Because it's a draft, I hope you don't mind me making suggestions and not tell them to get lost through the chair. I've removed the word modest about your sample size because actually it's a really good sample size. 600 people to fill in a questionnaire. And the quality of the data is excellent. So you're doing yourself a disservice. Remove the term modest. There's a point in there about teenagers don't make me feel safe or words to that effect. I've just lost where it is in the documents. I think that's justification for some more intergenerational work. And I don't think I can see that anywhere in the document itself, but I think that is key justification for that. And I'm really pleased to see that it supports the findings of a lot of findings of the Biddle Works Together project, and that's been mentioned in there as well. So it's the evidence now we've got. So we're looking at triangulation, which suggests the data that I got and the data that you got is reliable. So from a scientific perspective. And also I spoke to Dave Proudwell very briefly about this, and he says he'd like to use this as a piece of evidence in all the stuff about the new local plan that will have to come forward. He said this will be a key piece of evidence to support that work with the district council. So hopefully you'll see that feed through into any decisions that the district council might make. So that's nice to see that closing the loop. So well done, great piece of work.
Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, it is very comprehensive. Congratulations to everybody that took part. But I'm thinking, like, what's next? Now, there's a lot of stuff in here, and as I believe there are still funds left in the shared prosperity fund. I'm looking at.
Yes,
And
potentially.
yeah, and I'm just thinking, is there anything we can set up as a project and get another bit in quickly to the shared prosperity fund using this information and the Biddle Works Together information as well, where the scope to get something, squeeze a little bit more money out of the shared prosperity fund before it dries up. I don't know what, but there's a heck of a lot of stuff in here that should be able to tease out some sort of a project somewhere. Intergenerational work or whatever.
Councillor Garvey.
Thank you, Chair. Just a question for the Chief Officer. In terms of you suggesting that there was work to be done on exploring the housing need, is that work? Do you say that work is going to take place?
No,
We've been told not to do that.
we're told not to do that. So the reason we'd considered this piece of work right at the start was because we'd had through the planning committee and neighbourhood plan discussions some conversations about the fact that our housing needs assessment is now a few years old. It's still the most up-to-date housing needs assessment there is, but it is still a few years old. So we'd felt like that we could certainly strengthen that from an older people's perspective. Hopefully that would then provide more evidence for developers who were considering older people's accommodation. But we were asked not to include that within this piece of work because that wasn't felt to be within our remit.
Not sure that I'd actually necessarily agree with that. And
No, I didn't.
I think that's a piece of work that we need to do, and certainly it's something that, with my other hat on as growth and economy, we need to know what the housing needs assessments are for the three major conurbations and the rural areas. So that's a piece of work that I think doesn't.
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm just thinking, I think we should propose sending a sensitive worded email to the cabinet member for regeneration.
Yes.
Is Darren Price, just basically to introduce what we've done here, and actually suggest that as further work which the town council would not only like to take on, but feel they're in a strong position to take on, and then that would feed back into the local plan review which is going to take place. Now, I should hope you're pushing against an open door there, and you're not really bypassing the officers, but you're getting cabinet support to actually do some research, and all research informs, and it's valid and fits on. So I'd like to put that forward as a proposal.
I'd definitely in that case like to second that proposal, because I think that's what we need to do. We need that information.
Councillor Salt.
It is a different point if I can bring this. There are some pieces of work going on that I've become aware of. I went to a conference last week, and the RNIB feed into the built environment and work around the built environment. And also, there's a piece of research, and I have declared an interest, but going on with Stoke-on-Trent City Council about the built environment and dementia. And I was wondering, you know, perhaps those are two things that could be considered specifically, especially with our dementia-friendly town and all that kind of stuff. But maybe if there is some spare resource and we're looking at built environment and things like that, those are kind of specialised pieces of work that are not usually considered actually, and become quite an innovative idea that we design spaces with those with disabilities in mind rather than the other way around and making changes after the fact. Prevents.
So just to go back to the proposal by councillor Garvey, seconded by councillor Yates.
Other way around.
Other way around.
Councillor Yates,
Sorry.
Phrase the proposal, I'm seconding it.
Okay. Are we all happy with that? Yeah. Just have a show of hands. Thank you.
Chair, just in terms of then what the next steps are with this document, there's nobody, apart from the comments that councillor Salt's made, nobody's got any specific concerns about recommendations or the comments contained within that. So shall I finalise the document and send it out to partners now? And
I think a lot of the information, it was the evidence that we needed for a lot of things that we already knew, wasn't it? But it just gives us that sort of gravitas and that confirmation of that. So I'm quite happy with that for Sarah to do that piece of work and finalise the document if everyone else is happy to do that.
Let's ask one question. Just looking at, this is just because I might not be understanding. Your transport thing, you've got 5 options. What's the bottom one mean? If, disagree or strongly?
which question?
Question 7, transport questions. It's just the example you were using. And you got strongly agree, agree,
Strongly
neither agree, not disagree, disagree, strongly disagree, and then if disagree or strongly. I don't understand that.
Then it's missing off the comment, I think. It's then why.
Sorry.
Those were the number of people who then put a comment in, which is what's resulted in the comments below.
It's just, I read it and it just didn't make sense.
I don't understand.
Thank you for the clarification. Very good to do.
Okay, so if you can formalise that document.
Yeah.
Great. And then to move on to the next item, to confirm ongoing discussions in relation to CCTV provision. Again, I'm going to defer to Sarah just to outline that item.
Yeah, so just picking up from previous conversations, I didn't want to let it fall off agendas. We've obviously sent some concerns directly to the district council about the use of resources as regards CCTV. I've chased that up recently, and I understand the district council were planning to have a conversation with the new police and crime commissioner. As yet, we are no further forward with our aspirations as a town to have enhanced CCTV. So I don't know whether you want me to try and call another CCTV working group where we can discuss it in greater depth, or whether you want to take a decision on next steps from here. But as things stand, we aren't getting anywhere with improving that.
Yeah, just a point of information, if I may come in, Chair. The officer who leads this has just gone through a bereavement, and as a consequence has had most of the last month off, so he's a little bit behind on a number of things which we've got to catch up on. So I think if I may, I've got a meeting with him next week because he also is the head of the response to climate change, and I will actually mention it for him to get it up to date and make sure there's a comeback. I don't think the delay is anything other than that at this moment in time.
If I'm correct, when we discussed this, we resolved that when the new police, crime and fire commissioner was in post, that we would then approach for comment from sorry, councillor Salt, councillor Garvey, okay, councillor Rogers.
I don't think it was police and crime commissioner, as I understand it, said, so we've got no money to speak to the district council. So we resolved to speak to the district council, which is what we're still waiting for. But we did agree separately to call Ben Adams in to speak to the town council about a lack of police in the middle, not specifically about CCTV, as I remember So I think then what we need to do is wait for the district council, and that's what we're still waiting for. But as an aside, through the chair, if I can ask if Councillor Yates knows anything, there's something going to cabinet about CCTV. Bill Corley said there's something going to cabinet about CCTV. Does that include Bill or not, or don't you know?
I don't know.
Okay,
If,
can we find out?
well, if it's going through the chair, if it's going to cabinet, either is a IED cabinet delegated decision or on the cabinet agenda, it'll be issued on Modern Gov for everybody to see. There won't be anything separate and
When
secret.
is the cabinet then? Is the
Have a look
agenda
on,
out?
honestly, I don't know off the top of my head. Have a look on cabinet on Modern Gov, just to see why it comes up.
Rogers.
Yeah, a little while ago, the town had all new CCTV cameras fitted. And we were assured at the time that they're going to be very high definition and brilliant recordings and cure anything. I'm not so sure. People say under data protection, you're not allowed to view them, etc., etc. It would be nice to know how good the images are, in what light they work, the directions they point, etc., wouldn't it really? But doing more information really.
We do have some anecdotal information about that, but obviously we don't necessarily want to talk about that in the public domain.
No, say it's a difficult one, yeah.
And that's one of the issues that I think they're trying to resolve at the district council. But in terms of at the specific request from us for additional cameras, that's what I'm coming to you about. You know, obviously we're making great strides with our lovely Station Road project, and that's going to be potentially quite vulnerable if we haven't got some provision down there. It really, I need some direction from the committee as regards
What's next? Councillor, I'll just bring Councillor Salton and then myself in.
Well, coming back, we wait for the district council because that's what we agreed, and we can't do anything until we know what the district council think. Because Ben Adams is inferred that the district council have got the money.
Yeah.
So we've got to wait for the district council to come back to us. If the district council say no, and there's not anything we can do about that, then we do need to think about adding it to the precept and buying it ourselves because we're passionate about it. If we want CCTV, wait for the district council. If the district council say no, we seriously need to consider about doing it ourselves, because that's what our community, from anecdotal evidence of speaking to people out there, and a lot of the evidence in the last agenda item says that people don't feel safe, then we need to think about purchasing CCTV and doing it ourselves, which is a shame. But sadly, with local government as it is, that's the position we're tending to be left in more and more. A lot.
I'd like to refer to something mentioned a few minutes ago by Sarah regarding the project with the mosaic bench in Station Road. I'm trying to get as many people in the History Society as possible to contribute as invited to its creation. Anecdotal evidence tells me that there's a certain resistance that because of its location, the participation in this. Time and time again, I'm having to say to people, and we're pressing for a security camera to help protect it when it's oh good, is the inevitable response. And therefore, you know, I'm most concerned that this project is continuing, you know, to build momentum now, but it will come to a point when it's be ready for installation and there won't be the security camera. And that worries me. Thank you.
Just coming back quickly on that, I mean, we know we've got power there from a project which I won't discuss. We know we've got power there. You know, we ain't got a wide coverage, but there could be a movement camera possibly installed down there. And if there's any issues, you could get the images back.
There needs to be something.
Councillor Harper.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I was talking to one of your colleagues at Leith the other week, and he was telling me that, I think I might have mentioned this before, that he got £5,000 from Ben Adams, like that, for football. And during the conversation he had with Ben Adams, he said, well, if you'd come to me last year, I had over £100,000 spare, and I couldn't give it away. Now, if this is true, and I believe what Barry says, then quite frankly, we've got to have something oven ready so we can stick under Ben Adams' nose every time we get the opportunity. So I think we've got to get something ready, put it forward. I think that's been our problem.
Councillor Redfern and then Councillor Salt.
Yeah, I'll make the most obvious point. I've never known a speed camera arrest anybody yet. They are, I am told, a deterrent. How much of a deterrent they are when you pull a scarf around your face in the first place, I'm not too certain. However, I do understand that there is certainly a perception by people that they make the place safer. As I say, I'm not fully convinced by that, but at the same time, I do realise that is a perception people have. I think we have to be a little bit careful than just thinking it's sticking a camera up on a pole, because it's so much more than that. It's the monitoring of it. Obviously, the quality has to be of a type that is admissible in a court of evidence. Often, the police are reluctant, for whatever reason, to use CCTV images, etc. And so perhaps a discussion needs to be had with the crime commissioner why that might be the case. So I think there are a number of things. I'm not in any way, shape or form saying I'm against having extra CCTV cameras. I'm just saying there's a lot to be thought before we just simply throw a load of money into it. It's stuff such as the monitoring, and then it's the access to it. So all is done, quite rightly so, by data protection law.
I think I'm very much on similar page to you that Councillor Redfern, that any sort of additional CCTV could do with being part of the same framework that we've already got, because as you say, more often than not, police are reluctant to use private CCTV setups, and that's essentially what it would be, wouldn't it? Councillor Garvey and Councillor Parks.
Two points, if I can. I think in terms of the question regarding do you want to have another CCTV working group meeting, I think that probably is a good idea. But my concern on this is the narrative is being directed towards CCTV. And that's a convenient narrative. The reality is that we do not have enough to put on the streets. And our police and crime commissioner for the Conservative More Police on the Streets party needs to be held to account. He needs to be called to this committee to explain why they're not providing us with the service that we need. CCTV is potentially a deterrent, but it's not a solution, because every man and his dog knows you put a ski mask on irrelevant. So we need to have the correct solution for the problems that we have, which is not necessarily more cameras on poles. So I would propose that we actually do invite the newly appointed police and crime commissioner to perhaps the next meeting of this committee and have it as an agenda item to review the issues regarding policing on the streets of Britain.
Just 1 second. Just regarding the item on the agenda, I think we're all of a very similar thought that it's part of a wider problem that we're deterring. You know, the antisocial behaviour and vandalism is bigger than CCTV, but we just need some steer on where we go next as far as exploring the proposals that we've already mentioned about CCTV and the additional areas we want coverage of. So it's really just, if we can just hammer out this point about CCTV as a agenda item and maybe explore the context of vandalism and antisocial behaviour separately. Councillor Parks.
I'm feeling that what I might say might get covered quite well now by what Councillor Salt wants to say as a point of information. So if we go to that, that will make sense.
We've already agreed in a previous meeting that we would invite the next police commissioner here. That's already been agreed, it's already been minuted, it's already been proposed, so we don't need to go down that route. My proposal would be that we wait for a response from Staffordshire Moors District Council, and if Sarah needs to give another nudge, great. And once we've got that response, then we can decide what we do next. But I don't think until we've got the response, because that's the piece of the jigsaw. We've asked Ben Adams said ask the district council. We're waiting for the district council. We can't do anything until the district council has come back to us. So if Sarah wants to give another nudge, my proposal is we ask Sarah to give another nudge to the district council, but we need to wait until we've had a response from the district council. But to come back to your point, Councillor Harper, there's two different funding streams you're talking about there. CCTV is not covered from the proceeds of crime. So the proceeds of crime, and what that money can only go to projects like kids football. It's to keep people out of crime, basically. And that's the money that we get back from criminals once they're prosecuted through any fines. That money can't pay for CCTV. It's a completely separate thing. So it's not as simple as that, sadly.
It's just the other £100,000 they brought into the
That's it, but it's only
Which
for
is
stuff
grand.
like projects. It's not for CCTV. So
point there. If I may ask a question, Chair, one last question for me, in any case. Can you just recap provisions for the camera outside here when this is built? Are we having a camera out here? Didn't we agree on?
We've got several, if I may share, we've got several out here that are ours already.
Are they working?
Oh, yeah.
That's all right. That's what been away from us for a long time, hasn't it?
Councillor Parks just wanted to come in
Yeah.
and then that will sum up.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, obviously, clearly, almost everything I wanted to say has been said. I mean, quite clearly, there's been a number of studies done on CCTV and whether or not it actually does reduce crime, and it only does reduce crime if it's monitored 24/7. And there is a policeman or a policewoman on the end of a phone call to say there's something going on now. It has been proven that dummy cameras do no better, are just as good at actually limiting crime as real ones when there is not any emergency service on hand. But by the by, that's not what we're discussing here. But what clearly is here is our knowledge of CCTV is very, very flimsy. And I think we need to have a better understanding of it and what it can do, and to prove itself that it can actually benefit Biddle. I don't want us to suddenly go cap in hand to the district council. I'm not saying that as a district councillor, I mean to anybody, and saying we want this, this, and this, but actually they're just forking out something that isn't going to improve the situation. And I think that, as Councillor Salt has said, sit down with the Police and Crime Commissioner to actually find out, well, if we do this, what are you going to do? Rather than we're thinking of doing this, so we're actually letting you off again, because we need to stop letting this man off. Because he is a member of the, what is it, Conservative Keep the Street Safe,
More police on
Police on the Streets Party. You know, he's got to start putting his money where his mouth is and actually backing it up and saying, not my problem, or over to the district council. Well, actually, no, because this is policing. It's not recording kids in the act of doing something. It's about policing and making the streets safe. And that's down to him and to the police.
Well made there. Councillor Eardley, do you want to come in? No. So we've got a proposal from Councillor Salt for Sarah to write to SMDC and chase their response, and then to come back to us and see what further action from that point. Do you have a seconder for that?
Second that.
Councillor Yates, all in favour? Thank you very much. So we are now looking to consider Biddulph Works Together project recommendations. As we've been doing a few at a time each meeting. So we're up to recommendation 10, which was
Can we move those on block? Nobody's got an objection. They all seem very sensible.
has everyone read these and is in agreement with them?
Just before we do, for a little bit of meat on the bone of some of these proposals, because there's quite a little bit of work involved in some of these proposals about going forward, and like number 10, talking to other councils. Now, how are we thinking of doing that? The Staffordshire Parish Councils Association, contacts with parts that we already know within the Moorlands, or are we going to go wider to that? Are we looking north over to Cheshire? So I'm just wondering how we're thinking of actually physically doing that piece of work.
I don't know, because these aren't my recommendations. These are from the report. I'm honest to do that, but you'd have to give me almost the authority to do
Well,
it. That's quite a piece of work.
Yes, it
obviously.
is, yeah.
It's, you know, that's going around and telling everybody how marvellous we are. You know, I'm a big fan of that.
I was just wondering, how are you going to actually physically do that? But like I said, it is a lot of work, and if we're serious about going forward with these recommendations, which rather just, you know, en bloc doing them and then they sit in the report and gather dust. It's an active document, and we've already approved several of the recommendations that came from the report. Okay, that's number 11 is pretty straightforward. Number
That makes
12
Number
is,
11 will have a financial implication. as
yeah, but
That
Yeah.
was number 12.
once these have been accepted by the full council, then that is more or less carte blanche. Yes, we're going to pay for this. That's my opinion. And 12, the opportunity to recuse a person. That's again a potential cost that's going to come to us. So I think it needs a bit more work and thinking about it. Yes, rather say we'll accept all these without actually working out some of the implications, which I think is really important, and you know, and capacity as well within the team here, whether we've got that or whether it just needs.
I think,
Excellent.
if I may, Kev,
Yeah.
we're just agreeing to accept these recommendations. As some of them do have a financial implication, they will also have to go through to finance. Most of them will have to go through full council as well, but at this point, I think we accept these recommendations. We agree with them in principle. And for you to send them out into the ether for the Sarah and the team to figure out how we go about doing them and bring some proposals forward to
Yeah, I'm happy
do
with
that.
May I suggest then as a next step on this? Absolutely, by all means agree. I think over the summer months, if we're going to recruit somebody to support people as we enter the autumn period, we should look at job description and how that will work. So maybe the next meeting of this committee, we perhaps drill into that one a bit more. There's no point trying to recruit somebody in.
I'd also
No,
say that anything that has a financial implication needs to be looked at over the summer months, because that will need to be in place by when it needs to kick back in again for the winter. Yeah, it needs to be costed. Councillor Yates.
Yeah, I think Councillor Jackson's got a point. I mean, there's a lot of depth to explore on each of these things, and too much depth for this meeting at the moment. I'm just wondering whether the next Biddulph Works Together meeting, we actually have two parts to that meeting. One is the Works Together group, but secondly is a councillor only group to consider in depth the sort of implications and how to take these forward. Now, whether Sarah could just put a few bullet points, especially on item 10, and then in that respect, we are bringing them forward, because that is a committee in itself, those 4 points, if we take them solely in depth, so to speak. And the other thing is, there are strong indications from central government, which is being backed up by information received both at county and district, UK shared prosperity funding, as in a new tranche, will be extended for a further 12 months. And I would expect that the section on alleviating household poverty is going to be a strong feature in that, which would fit in nicely with the UK Shared Prosperity Fund bid to cover item 12, certainly as a 12-month appointment. And hopefully, I'd like to think that eventually this crisis which we're in would start coming to an end in that period, or allow us to continue it on. But I think having a two-part meeting of the Biddulph Works Together group to consider recommendations how to take it forward and discussion with the group would be a way forward.
I'll just ask Sarah, how many more recommendations have we got from that?
No, that's it.
That's it. So that concludes the list of recommendations.
Yes.
Would it be more feasible, instead of having a separate meeting, to keep Biddulph Works Together matters arising as a standing agenda item?
Yes.
And that any work that Sarah does on any of these recommendations, she can then bring forward to us for next steps?
Yeah.
I'm just conscious about extra meetings and.
Right. It wasn't the same meeting, but yeah.
Well, it's still
It's
a
okay,
days
I'm not-
meeting and
Yeah, and there was only actually two councillors.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah.
you know, it's not inundated with councillors at that
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
is everyone happy to keep that as a standing agenda item and for it to be a matters arising?
We have a pose and a seconder on that, Chair.
I'll propose that. Councillor Gordon.
We all happy with that? Yeah. Thank you very much. So it does say at the bottom there, concludes the consideration of the recommendations from the report. Does anyone want to give Paul a nod? The letter back in.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I say something, Chair? I don't get any of these electronic messages, all right? I don't get them on my home laptop or on my council laptop. So it has to be on paper. So there's obviously going to be a delay before I can. So when you're talking about stuff such as tonight, I haven't got a clue what you're talking about. I really haven't.
On the agenda.
And got an agenda kit. I was probably been given one, but I've got. Yeah.
Picked mine up days ago from down there.
I haven't. You know,
The fault lines were.
not with me, I'll tell you that. Oh, tell you that for nothing, pal. You know, I'm quite prepared to lock arms on this. And you and I know known each other long enough. So no, you know, so I can't yay or nay at things like this, quite frankly. I'll just tag on to it. So if I make an uninformed decision, you know why.
I gave councillor Harper a copy on Thursday.
Yeah,
Now-
yes.
Okay, so what you've been saying is wrong.
No, I don't work out. Unlike a lot of people, not perfect.
So just moving on to item number 98, to receive an update in relation to the Station Road bench and current parking area.
Lovely. So it's all going very nicely with our lovely, I don't know if they're calling it a bench or a throne. I think they call it, we've progressed to a throne now, which I rather like. A throne. So Kingsfield have done their artwork and that has been fired and they've now coloured their artwork and it's been glazed. So all the Kingsfield students have created a tile about this size with some absolutely beautiful pictures on it. So that's really exciting. We've done one session at the Biddulph Youth and Community Zone, which was really, really good for me and Jodie. It was a good job we were there because we weren't sure that many young people would be interested in the project. They were obviously wanting to play football and do things like that, but we were absolutely inundated by young people who wanted to do really, really lovely stuff. We've got anime figures and all sorts coming from the Youth and Community Zone. That's beautiful too. That's gone to be fired, and then we'll go back when Philip gets back from his holidays and colour that as well. So the session that we're doing is Monday the 3rd, I think. So everybody should have had a note about that in here. So if you have some ideas about what you want if you want to be involved in that, what you want your brick slip to look like. So as I say, they're about this big. What we really wanted this project, to go back to that thinking, what we wanted this project to do was to think about the culture, heritage of the town, not including the mining history, because obviously we've got a big project in relation to that, but things that will be, it will help people to understand where we've come from, where our roots are. The young people have all done things that they really love about nature and things that they love now and their aspirations for the town. And it's kind of our role with the History Society and with other partners as well to kind of imagine something that's about the history, heritage of the town. So that's our remit on the 3rd of June. It's really lovely. You do a piece of, you get a piece of paper, you draw whatever design you want, and then you put that piece of paper onto the clay tile and you kind of go over the lines that you've drawn, which obviously leaves the influence in that, and then you can add the detail afterwards. It gets fired, then we're back again with our painting skills. So that's where we're up to with regards to that. So Philip's got his contractor digging out the 3rd circle this week, and he's going to fence that area off so that nobody obviously falls in it. It's not very deep, but it's getting the soil out of there. So on the fencing there, I'll put a note that says, something about an exciting project coming soon, something like that. that's kind of where we're at. So I haven't revisited the parking issue in that area, because obviously that's our parking space, and we were talking tentatively about kind of grassing that over. We're very much focused on the throne. But please, if you are interested in doing your own piece of artwork for the throne, it's money befitted.
Do we have any steer on sort of an estimated completion date? Any?
Yeah, we're a very similar timescales as the miners' lamps. We're hoping for that kind of heritage fortnight in September. A big opening then with the mayor, so don't look any harm.
Councillor Garvey, did you want to
I
comment?
just want to ask the chief officer a question. You said this is the session that was originally on Monday the 20th, then you moved it to the 3rd. What time is it on the 3rd? Because I can't find the email.
Okay.
4 o'clock, I think.
I think we set four till 6.
Till 6. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine, no problem. Okay.
We got anywhere with doing a session in terms of engaging the young people that might be quite challenging?
Yeah, Anthony's going to do that for us.
Okay.
We haven't had a lot of success in engaging directly with the high school, unfortunately. We've Philip's been up there, I've sent lots of emails, but we haven't had that level of engagement that we wanted. So in terms of kind of approaching young people, Anthony or one of his youth workers is going to do something probably here at the town hall, or maybe if it's a nice night, we'll do something down there. We'll get pizza and we'll make a bit of an
Can I
event.
make a suggestion?
Not all these.
And I know it might be a bit of a conflict in terms of data protection, but you probably have these conversations anyway. I'm sure the PCSOs know the 3 of the lads that were last seen in the house on Bun Street climbing over the fences. I could tell you 3 lads, 3 names of 3 lads now that need to do a piece of work on that.
Okay.
Can you ask the PCSOs to
Yeah.
suggest?
Don't think that's a terrible idea from my chair, sorry, because we did talk at one point as though that maybe if we could make it work in an environment that was appropriate for everyone, if we get the police to do something too,
That'd be great.
PCSOs to do a tile, so we get everybody to engage at the same time and do they can all take the mick out.
It's amazing what ownership can do for young people
Yeah.
or challenging behaviours.
So that's the kind of next step.
Did we also look at, I know you've got relationships with the Roaches as well, did we also look at how they are going to be concluded?
Yes. Roaches, that'd be fantastic.
I know they did get involved with the fair trade stuff, didn't they? We have.
That's a great idea. I haven't asked them yet. I think we've just kind of got the first school done. Get you guys done.
Roaches does a lot of art. They have
Yeah.
they have an in-house art teacher who's very, very good, and you'll see a lot of that on the windows.
I think sometimes they sit on the periphery, don't they?
They do.
They're
I agree.
not part of the
I agree.
mainstream stuff.
They're not all Biddle kids.
Yeah.
It's a bit of school.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Any further comments on the Station Road, other than what a wonderful project it's turning into? So to 99, to receive an update on the Safe Place scheme.
This is a conversation that's gone back quite a number of months, if not years now. So at the point at which we took over this building, we wanted to be part of the Safe Place project. And then we'd made some inquiries about that, and the feedback came back that in order to have membership of the Safe Place project and get the support, the stickers, the advice on how you make your place a safe place, then either the district or the county council has to buy into that. There's a kind of fee for that. And at that point, we weren't able to find somebody suitable to do that. We'd contacted the district, hit a bit of a brick wall there, and the person at the county wasn't able to do that. It's been picked up again by the district council, which is marvellous. They've liaised with the county council, and between them, they're going to sort out the membership of the Safe Place project that we can all get involved in. And they've asked whether, when they get it up and running, so that the district will lead on our area, when they get it up and running, would we be happy to kind of pilot it for the district? I've tentatively, haven't brought that to you, but I've tentatively said, yeah, we'd really like to do that because we're really well set up already for that. And actually don't know too much as regards what it involves. I guess it's probably some training for staff. Have a look at the kind of policies and procedures and recommendations as regards that. But in terms of what we want to achieve for the town hall, it felt like a good fit. So if you're happy for me to kind of move forward with that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. We all happy for Sarah to move forward with the next steps for that?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, that's carried. Okay, so the last item on the agenda, but it might be a little of a long list, considering how many events have been planned this year. To receive a verbal update on 2024 events.
We'll do the usual tag team thing, if
Yeah.
that's okay. So thanks to everybody who's involved with our first garden festival. We've had such amazing feedback from that. We got people in from near and far to listen to the talks that were in the town hall. It was sold out. People were surprised in the week before that they couldn't get tickets, that it was sold out. Anyway, it was sold out, and it was, the hall was packed for both talks. And the weather was amazing, and we had markets in the town centre. We got lots of lovely feedback, including from the traders on the high street. It was all very positive. So then we move on, and Saturday is Future You. So this is our event, which is in the town hall. We don't think we'll need to close the road, actually, because some of the kind of more active things that we were going to do probably won't happen. But this is where we try and do a number of things. So we talk to people about how they can cook with slow cookers and do that on a budget. We're doing some taste testing to help with the restricted eating that certainly the Family Hub are engaging with. Got lots of partners coming to talk about the things that they can offer in terms of activities for people who are in their I don't know what the phrase is, chair bound, I suppose. Yeah, people with kind of not much movement, but who wants to. Yeah, no, it's got a particular phrase. So there's lots of things like that going on. We've got a lovely lady coming to do stop motion, a project there where we kind of talked about this before, going to give tomatoes googly eyes and make them move around, make our own little films, just a kind of engaging with food. We've got some films with food as well. So it's a lovely food-based day in terms, and an opportunity to kind of think of healthy things, healthy activities that will improve your future you. Nothing to add.
Yes, Zona coming to make smoothies. Biddulph Leisure Centre will have some passes to give out, so that will be nice. Lots of local fitness classes, so advice for wherever you are on your fitness journey. Councillor Smith in the other hat will do some cooking demonstrations. And you can have a health check, an NHS health check while you're here with Everyone Health. So
that's the timing.
Until
2:30.
That's Saturday, so that should be really lovely. That's a real partnership project. So we're working with the Better Health team at Staffordshire County Council, Family Hub, with the Youth Zone, with so that's really positive. If you haven't got your tickets already, the 1st of June is the D-Day event that we're doing. So that's the Road Hall Silver Band, the Kingsfield Singers and the Biddulph Male Voice Choir, interspersed with some readings and that sort of thing. They've come up with a really lovely programme rather, between three organisations. Tea and cake at the interval, obviously, because this is what we do. Function on tea and cake. We've kept the ticket price quite low. Our ticket price really only covers the advertising cost, because we've had a grant from Staffordshire Moors District Council for that event, which is marvellous, because the organisations don't seek to make money, but they do have to pay for kind of people to conduct them and for the music, the use of the music. So we're covering their costs.
Different district council, isn't it?
We usually get grants for
Oh,
that sort of
spoil it.
activity. So, and then on the 6th itself, which is D-Day, we've got events throughout the day, which we'll send more information out. So the town crier is supposed to do the cry, the official cry. It's something like 8 a.m. I know, we're wondering whether we might pre-record it, or just maybe not require him to come here. I don't know. We'll do something. He will definitely do it, and we'll put that out. We'll see at 8 o'clock. We'll lay a wreath about 11 o'clock. Having some discussions within the enormous pack that comes from Bruno Peake, who's the pageant master. There's a very complicated poem that they expect young people to read. we're not really sure about that, but we're gonna have to take a view from teachers on that, I think, see if we can get some more people to particular sections of that. And then in the evening, we have to light our lamp. What's that, 9:15?
If you like.
Dead on.
Your complicated poem, can I just, there is, at James Bateman, the Youth Speaks, got to the final, and they're amazing orators. I don't know whether they might be willing to do something that might be a bit complicated.
Yeah, we thought it must be designed for older children. It's just not suitable for young ones. But we need to
Suitable in
revisit
content or?
both.
Okay.
It's an interesting choice, put it that way, isn't it? So we need to revisit that. But for part of the evening, then we have to light our lantern. So Jodie's been Googling how we light, because it's a proper lantern that needs oil. Do something with that wick. So anybody who you know has a history of lighting lanterns that have oil in a wick, we might need you on that evening.
Have oil lamps.
Excellent, you're our man.
Match.
So that's the evening on the 6th.
Yeah.
Do you want to go beyond the start of June?
I just wondered if it's worth mentioning prayer breakfast.
Yes.
We've got a speaker.
Yeah, so we spoke earlier on the year, we haven't given you an update recently because we haven't had one to give, about supporting the churches locally with a prayer breakfast. So this is something that's done across bigger communities to bring their churches and groups together. Ours is on, off the top of my head, the 27th. Hey, got that. The 27th of June. So they're going to start at 7 o'clock in the morning for those who want to attend before work. And they have a speaker and they'll obviously be prayers, and I don't know if there'll be music actually. And breakfast. So we've committed to providing the breakfast. And they're essentially organising the whole thing, which is a really lovely partnership. And bit of ST8, Churches Together ST8 are leading on that, and are delighted with our involvement with that.
Councillor Rogers?
Just quickly on lighting the lamp, is it just something small? Has it got to be a beacon again?
In an ideal, sorry, Chair, in an ideal world, it would be a beacon, but for us, we haven't got a suitable beacon location.
Oh, yeah.
We've
I mentioned.
Well, we've bought this lamp now, and the fact that you've got this lamp, and it was like 40 quid or something like that, you're then supposed to buy a lamp. Communities are supposed to have them, and then we have to light it forevermore, basically. Every time there's a commemoration.
Remembrance Sunday.
Remembrance Sunday, we need to light the lamp. So
Well, if you want to beacon, it's actually behind the scenes with a location.
beacon.
Okay. Got a location all the time, it's on private land.
With it till it goes. Jackson.
Yeah, if anybody was downstairs earlier, I made comparisons between the council that it was when John and I first landed and what it's like now. And I think there's last 5 or 6 agenda items highlights that incredibly well. So I think our staff do go above and beyond. Just wondering where we put the overtime chitty in for payment. It's one of the longest ones I think I've ever been involved with. I've been most enjoyed.
Outside.
Once again,
5 hours?
excellent. From all of, we've been involved with all of these different projects on behalf of certainly the Labour Group. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I hope to get to as many as possible.
Councillor Garvey, Councillor.
Can I just throw that you were talking about events, well, 2 days after the 29th is the Mayor's fundraising craft and textile event and history wardrobe presentation in the evening. Raising funds for.
Tickets are available.
And with the big check.
As well, aren't they?
Oh.
Tickets are already available for that, aren't they?
Yes, they are, but for the craft event is technically the craft it is basically free entry, and
Yeah.
if you wardrobe,
Cool.
you need to contact Sue for that, and we should said to already sold half the ticket, so.
Yeah.
Well,
Councillor Rogers, then Councillor Hicks.
Yeah, just briefly, just going out from Councillor Jackson, that's why I named the staff really in the financial report, because everything You come in the town hall, there's big wads of paperwork, and it just appears, doesn't it, really? You don't realise what goes on behind the scenes, all them hours and hours and hours of work. Who face that aren't seen on the front desk. Thank you.
Would be remiss to not suggest there was some sort of witchcraft going on sometimes
I'm happy for you to suggest that.
in the offices. Exactly. Councillor Yates.
Yes, and just to put a flag out, 20th of July, tickets going on sale by the end of this week. Middlescott Soul, a Northern Soul evening in the town hall, an over one, hopefully one of many, followed by an after party at the Royal Oak, where there's actually a live singer going to be on, starting around about 11 o'clock at night to extend it past our closing time here. So could be an interesting event. It's a very popular genre for this part of North Staffordshire and South Cheshire. So
Just to check, Jodie, you didn't get that far, did you?
No, I should just say, if you're discussing all those, that's part of obviously the festival, that will kick off on Saturday the 6th, the launch day parade, which obviously that's looking very lovely. All the schools are taking part and they've got some really lovely ideas. So that's going to be nice.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah,
Councillor Parks.
very quickly, and only because the mayor has mentioned that. He's mentioned the soul that I have no interest in whatsoever. So I want to talk about the soul that I think we all have a great deal of interest in. And in July, the mental health first aid training will be beginning. Here, the ladies have been absolutely fantastic. They have all the dates. I don't think it's quite gone out there yet in a big way, has it? I know I've had a number of people asking me what, when. I know the sort of stuff. I know the sort of, certainly the Labour group were all keen to know when. And so, you know, just in July will be the awareness training. Tell me if I'm wrong. September will be the full first aid training.
So what we've agreed with the Biddle Works Together group is that we will send it to them first. So when we've got the kind of posters, we've been working on the draft of the posters with the dates and a bit of information about each session. That will go to Biddle Works Together partners first and to councillors, just because obviously we're all involved in partnership with each other, and then more widely open to the public after that.
So Garvey, and then I think we'll wrap up the item.
Things, the after event that will also involve, it will also be the unveiling of the armouring on the front. For some reason, someone decided they wanted to make a 50-foot beanstalk. Spread out of my garden this weekend. And then the week after, the sole event will be the Hearing Music Festival, and tickets are available downstairs.
Wonderful. Okay. I will say that this meeting is now closed. 12:40. Thank you everyone for coming.